Psalm 122, verse 1 says, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord, where our feet shall dwell within thy gates, O Jerusalem. I want to talk about the right way to go back in, because there is a right way to enter back into the space of worship. Every pastor I talk to, I always ask the question, what is it that you would do differently if you had to do it all over again? And I got answers from, I would not have come back as soon, to I will never have in-person worship again, to I will come back with a better strategy. All kind of answers. There's a right way to go back in. The psalmist wrote this, and it is suggested that there are two possible experiences that the psalmist could have had that would allow him or her to express themselves with such enthusiasm and joy. One being that they were born in the priesthood, whereby if you were born into the lineage of priesthood and you had a flaw, a technicality, a deformity of any kind, then all they had to do was remove you from entering into the temple for 10 generations. Because of your deformity and because of your challenge with a physical problem in your body, it's believed that your sin had been that deep. So for 10 generations, no one from your bloodstream could enter into the space of worship. And maybe the psalmist says, I was glad because he looked and realized that he was the 11th generation. In other words, he was now the generation that was able to enter into the temple after having 10 that could not. And so what he says is, I was glad when they said unto me. What is it that God has done for you that you really hadn't seen done for somebody else? I know that God is an awesome God, a sovereign God. But do you ever feel like his favorite child? Do you ever feel like he particularly takes interest in you? Do you ever feel like that there is nothing you can do to separate from him? That's favor. And so after 10 generations, here's this one. He realizes that or some would say that the psalmist is just reciting the process of going up the hill to the place of worship. Now, grant you that scholars argue whether this was David, because Solomon is the one that built the temple. David was long gone by then. Or is this the psalmist prior to the temple, and it's entering the place where the tabernacle resided, and it became the place of worship? So as he moves into that space, 15 steps before getting into the place where God was, he said, I was glad. Not mad, not sad, not looking like I've been had, but I was glad. The right way to worship God and the right way to come in is to come in with some enthusiasm and joy in your spirit. And anytime you get a chance to honor God and to praise Him, you ought not have a lagging attitude, a lagging spirit. It ought not be something that is mechanical and people have to make you do. But you ought to say like the psalmist, I was glad when they gave me a chance to go back to church. I was glad when I heard that the doors were about to open again. I was glad in the midst of a pandemic. I know that if I'm vaccinated and I put my mask on, it's all right. I'll be all right. I got to take a step by faith. I was glad when they said unto me, vaccination does not make you 100% immune of the virus, but it does give you a higher percentage of not ever catching the virus. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go. The psalmist is so happy about going to the place where the presence of God is that they were determined not to go by themselves. Let us go. Some of us are so busy with me that we can't even get to us because of me. Some of us can never embrace other people because we got I on our mind. I and me and mine. When in fact, the right way to enter back in is to not just want God for yourself, but you ought to want God to be impactful to somebody else. So the right way to go back in is to not just show it by yourself, but show it with somebody. Bring somebody with you. Invite somebody to come and worship God with you. All these people you've met during the pandemic, all these people that survived and come through trial and storm, and you as a child of God won't even invite them to worship. I was glad when they said, let us, watch this, go into the house of the Lord. Notice he didn't say go to worship. Notice he didn't say go to church. He didn't name worship. He didn't name church. The house of the Lord. I've already told you that whether this was a place where the tabernacle resided, In the Old Testament, they believed that wherever the tabernacle was, that's where the presence of God was. Or perhaps this is the temple, and there's a place where the glory of God would meet them there if they entered in the right way. Regardless of which is which, I got news for you. That if it is just a tabernacle, the psalmist is not worried about church. He doesn't say, let's go to worship. He doesn't say, let's go to church. He said, let's go to the house of the Lord, because in his mind and in his calculation, that when I get there, God is going to meet me there. It's his house. And he inhabits the praises of his people. He lives among where praise is. So if I go in the right way, and when I get there, it's his house. I want God more than I want to lift up my hand. I want God more than I need somebody to tell me to touch my neighbor. I need God more than I need somebody to instruct me on what to do. Nothing is wrong with those things, but when you get God, you're gonna lift up your hand, you're gonna move your mouth, you're gonna wave, and you're going to thank him, and you're going to go, because you can't be in his presence and not honor him, and not enjoy him, and not glorify him, and not show the word that you have for him. He didn't say, I'm going to worship. He said, get me to the house of the Lord, because I know he lives there. Over these past few months, it's been a beautiful thing to worship God in your house. And I believe that the Lord met some people right there in your house. But can I tell you, your house has limited capacity. There is something that happens when all of the people of God come together corporately and worship God in spirit and in truth. God inhabits the praises of his people. And he'll meet us there. I got to hurry up. But he said, let us go into the house of the Lord, where my feet shall dwell within thy gates, O Jerusalem. This is why we believe that this is more likely the temple, because the temple had a gate around it. And the gate was an indication that you have entered into new set territory, sacred ground, once you cross those gates. He said, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go, that my feet shall dwell within thy gates. Can I tell you something, beloved? Online worship, phone line worship, online worship, video worship, Zoom church, all of that's good, but nothing can replace you being in the house of the Lord at the time his glory falls. Technology got us through this pandemic, but now God has given you rest and a respite, but he's requiring you to now put in some more effort to get to his house. That's going to be your challenge. That's going to be your charge. Online worship are for the sick and shut in. It's for people who may be out of town and can't get to the building. It's for people who don't have transportation to get to the building. It's for people who may not be able to get there, may be in the hospital, may be experiencing bereavement in their family. It's for people who absolutely can't get there. It's not for the lazy. It's not for people to get up and say on a Sunday morning, I just don't feel like going. I'm going to lay in the bed and watch it on video. Nothing like being within the gates, in the house. And so you must put forth the effort to go back the right way. God has given us Sundays to rest and Sundays to enjoy our family. You can still do all of that. You just got to worship first. Go to church first. Now it makes sense why the writer says, bring ye your tithe and offering into the storehouse. He didn't say necessarily sin. He said, bring it. Now, if you can't get to the physical location, then sending is the next best thing to do. But the desire is not the tithe. The desire is for you to come into the house of the Lord.
You ought to